players decided to start before the stream, just fine because we're seeing some of the same bands that we've already been seeing, the early Zoe and Kayn bands. We saw a complete dismantling of our Team 1 here in the previous game. We're all tied up 1-1. What are you expecting to see in the third game?
I'm really hoping to see the now blue team switch something up. They got another player in there now. Replacing, it looks like, Lysimachus. So hopefully we see some nice changes up to the team just across the board. They've really got to come back and just try to embrace their comp a little bit better this time. Because they had that really good showing in the first game, but in the second game they just weren't executing that well. They had a decent comp, but it just wasn't playing the way they wanted.
Early bans coming out onto would have been the 2-star players of this matchup. Kokoro no Nagi on the side getting 3 bans thrown his way, and Menards catching 2 bans the other way. Didn't ban out the Cho'Gath that he did so well, and so they may be willing to let him have that because it played less of a role in getting the other guys ahead. Interesting to see what they end up doing in the jungle. If they go back to the Cho'Gath well, or if they try to find a playmaker for Menards to hop on so that he can carry the game a little more as he's been doing the previous 2.
We got an early Jhin pick for Port Swimmer, it looks like. So we're going away from the Caitlyn and going to another long-range AD carry with a little bit more burst potential.
And that's good for him too, you know. They definitely needed some siege, some ability to keep their carries away. Ooh, Shaden picking up on his Camille.
They leave the Camille open because they have to ban the Veigar, and it just gets picked up right away.
And we saw a few weeks ago the playmaking potential that Shaden has on that champion. Nickel's going to be in a rough spot trying to compete against it.
And right now we've got a Gangplank and a Camille that's... They're top in their mid laner right now, so I can only assume there's going to be not a lot of AP the rest of the map for the red team as they pick up Diana for the blue team.
And that's something I expected to see. Menard's doing a fantastic job, but didn't have the kill potential on Cho'Gath or Sejuani, and it was really starting to show when he was the only one ahead. He just couldn't bring it along. Diana gives him a little more mobility, a little more kill potential, and I'll be looking for him to make a big impact early on.
And over here trying to relieve the AD heavy comp, we've got a Gragas who doesn't put out a lot of damage, but definitely brings a lot of utility and CC to the team. A lot of playmaking potential with the body slam flashes, with the explosive cask. A lot of displacement, a lot of CC. It's going to be a huge benefit if we can get some good play.
Interesting note here, this is Gragas' first appearance in the LCUS. We'll have to see if it's becomes a staple as it was last year in the LCS, or if it's just a one-off here for our fun Wednesday night games.
We got some more bans coming through. The Misfortune ban,
so I go.
Kind of harping back to how much damage it was just doing in the last game. Not a huge amount of kills, not a huge carry threat, but still a lot of damage in those team fights. You just line up for the bullet time and it's just a very bad time.
We talked too about, the previous team having PTSD and banning out champions. Veigar and Misfortune, the two that were giving him the hardest time in the team fights, both gone early on, so that Blue can get some relief here.
And the Ezreal falling as well. They don't want to see that. Oceanic played it the first game, did very well on it. Not well enough to win, but still did a very good job. A lot of damage.
Interesting if they could have made
a Caitlyn.
They have the Gangplank, who's known for taking Kleptomancy. If they would have let the Ezreal slide through, would have been a second Kleptomancy champion, and it would have been fun to see how the gold works out with 2 champions running that keystone.
Yeah, there's just so much money you can get from Kleptomancy. You get some from the individual procs of it, plus you can sell the items you get for more money if you feel like, who needs a health potion? Who needs an extra ward? More importantly, who needs a mana potion? Rest in peace, mana potion.
You are still missed. Even my lowly top laner self can express some remorse for that. I really do miss it. Gotta get lucky taking it down to the wire, and
we're
finally
gonna
pulls off
end with a
Ziggs.
Ziggs. That's a Ziggs blind. That's a Ziggs into the Gangplank, and we've got a Trundle hover for the bot lane. What I can only assume to be the bot lane with the Camille already locked in. I know that Amaya likes to play this Trundle. Loves to have a good time on it. And
Also, you think he's pulling it out for the support role?
Oh, he's definitely pulling it out for the support role.
Interesting. These team comps are really interesting. A lot of champions that we haven't seen getting a lot of play in the LCUS. A Trundle support hasn't come out. You know, we got Gragas in the jungle. Red team going with a lot of the wild cards.
Now, we did see the Trundle in the gym class feeders 2 weeks ago.
We did. It was what role was it playing?
It was support.
Confess my ignorance.
It was support. It was very annoying to play against.
I apologize. Seeing here, blue team going with a lot of the artillery for the back line. You got the Ziggs kind of pulling in from long range, Jhin as well, and then that strong front line with Ornn and Braum and Diana able to hop onto a carry if need be. Red team, I don't really know what their team fight is going to be. They got Gragas up front. They got Trundle.
They've got some nice displacement from the Gragas and the Trundle. The Camille, I believe, can hookshot the Trundle pillar as well. So maybe some hidden synergy there.
No real AP coming out, though. They have Gragas who can pump out some, but you'd be looking at him to go more of a, you know, if anything, like an AP bruiser. I wonder if blue team will be able to abuse that some, pull out a lot of armor, you know, maybe a Thornmail on a couple of the tanks in front, and really abuse the comp that Red's.
The Ornn and the Braum are definitely going to be stacking a bunch of armor. If they don't, they'd just be silly. This is a dream game for a Rammus, but unfortunately there is no Rammus. We have a Diana instead, so there's a lot of kill potential onto that Caitlyn. The Camille looks like she's gonna have a rough time against that Ornn in the top lane. Ornn's a pretty big bully, but the Camille still has a good potential to do some serious damage and threat to the Jhin and the Ziggs in the late game.
Definitely going to be an interesting game. Tiebreaker on the line. What lane are you most excited to view here?
I would have to say the top lane matchup's definitely in favor of Ornn, and then the mid lane matchup, Gangplank's pretty scary, but Ziggs does have that range kind of to help him out. So the most interesting lane is probably going to be the bot lane with that Trundle. The Trundle can interrupt the Braum stand aside if he catches him mid-dash. So there's going to be a lot of just more mechanically intensive play going on in the bot lane because of that Trundle alone. The Trundle is going to have those pillars to kind of direct and funnel the enemy team into those Caitlyn traps. So there's going to be a lot of damage potential from that alone. But we do have the Braum and the Jhin. If the Braum gets a nice stun, the Jhin gets free hits, and that fourth shot is a doozy.
Going to be a lot of things to dodge around in the bot lane for Jhin and Braum. Like you mentioned, the traps and the pillars and the icy floor that Trundle will be bringing. For me, the interesting thing here will be to see what Diana does. You know, we have Menards on a more of a carry potential character. Not a lot of CC in the mid lane that Ziggs can provide into the gangplank, but up top, Ornn's got plenty that he can bring. Braum's got plenty that he can bring into the bot lane. I'll be looking for Diana to make plays in the side lanes, trying to get his team ahead and hopefully get them snowballing early. As we load up the skin battle here. Any skins you'd be hoping to see early on? Especially from, now I'm sure you're disappointed.
I am very disappointed. I am a very, very big fan of the Lunar Wraith and the Headhunter Caitlyn skins. Unfortunately, we do not see either. In fact, just because of it's even in the numbers. So, well, where do you give the edge for this skin battle?
You know, as a Wisconsin man born in October, Oktoberfest Gragas holds a special place in my heart, so I got to give it over to Red, even if they're not willing to bring on the Caitlyn skins that you so desire.
That's a fair enough argument. Alright, do you think we're going to see something cheesy with the Trundle here in the bot lane, or do you think it's going to be pretty standard opening?
Our first game we saw Red Team kind of make a play early on. It looks like they're grouping up again with Gangplank wandering around down that way, and they're just going to hold steady. Caitlyn deciding to go peruse the tower. I would have and now we're getting the... Of course, beware the Nexus pings from the Red Team. Don't wanna get too close to that just now.
Yeah, you gotta have a few more items before you make your push for that bad boy.
Red Team letting us know that they're on the way to the Nexus, predicting an early win here for the Red Team. And Gragas laughing about us being forced to talk about their pings, of course. Easy 5-point warding from... Or warding while standing around from the blue team, not looking for any invades, just wanted to get a normal start going. And it looks like Red's not going to push for anything here.
Yeah, pretty safe setups for everyone. Nothing too risky, just going to have your regular leashes going on here. Got some nice wards on the red buff for the Red Team, kind of protecting from that Diana early invade.
And that's been a staple of this Red Team throughout all the games, has been good warding. Blue, I'm hoping with the a couple change of players and positions, maybe that changes some and their wards will kind of win the day here. It's a skill you'd like to see kind of coming forth in the LCUS here.
We've got that trademark Gangplank coming in here with his coin. Just letting the minions die, try to get as many coins to drop as he can. Meanwhile, we've got some trading going in favor of the Ornn in the top lane. He's ahead in levels. Camille just evened it out. So that's going to be a little bit interesting to see how that lane shapes up. See if she can kind of hold her own, or if the Ornn's gonna kind of have his way with the lane.
Yeah, Ornn putting a lot of pressure on top lane, and with Diana clearing so much faster than Gragas, what you would have liked to see is Ornn, kind of letting the lane push some, get that early gank, and then use that to be a true bully later on. Here he's kind of opening himself up to a gank from Gragas, who is of course not going there, he's just roaming towards the mid here.
But he is defended by a ward, so the only thing would be if Gragas came in through the Tribush, which... he has a decent enough runway to kind of defend himself from that. Got a little bit of trading from the junglers here. The Gragas a little bit sad that the Diana just took the crab.
Still trading around, a lot of damage coming out.
Saying, hey, get out of here, I'm trying to gank this lane. Definitely flexing on her a little bit, but she did get a ward out, kind of to help out the Ziggs.
Early aggression in the bot lane. Maya-chan going in as Trundle. A lot of damage coming down to the Braum.
Nicely placed trap by the Caitlyn, but a good shield for the Braum mitigates just about all that damage.
And a good heal from Portspilmer, willing to give it up to his support and make sure that they don't fall behind early on here.
And one of the big things to kind of worry about against the Jhin is you got to be careful of those bounces. As we've got Gragas coming up to the top lane. Looks like Camille's not really on the same page, though.
And that's one of the worries when you get a change-up on positions.
That could have been a really good gank, but Camille's just content to farm while the Gragas forces the Ornn to go back to base.
And that's not a terrible play either. Camille, Ornn wants to stay in lane. Ornn can build his own items, so being able to stay in, the wave's still pushed up by her, so she's getting to farm here without much risk at all. It's nice for the Camille, or for the Gragas to buy that time for Camille for that to happen.
Meanwhile, in the mid lane, both of them kind of taking a lot of damage. The Ziggs able to fire a lot of bombs at range and kind of force the Gangplank back under his tower, but the Gangplank able to get some barrels chained, gets some trade damage back, and he's got his oranges to kind of back him up, so overall he's just doing a little bit better sustaining. Gragas spotted out by a ward. Still gonna go get some deep vision.
Danum looking to make a play. I suppose not. Just wanted to put a little damage onto those minions.
Say, hey, I know your Gragas is here. Oh, gets the body slam flash, but it's just a little short. Still trying to make something happen where the Diana's here just to force him off. And they all go their separate ways. Level advantage for the Camille here, and farm advantage.
And a 600 gold lead coming out in favor of red team. That's entirely from their CSing. You're seeing Caitlyn's up 1. Camille's up about 20 right now from that early back that Gragas spot.
Yeah, and that's kind of a saving grace for Camille in this lane. That Ornn's able to kind of bellows breath him off the CS, so really needs some sort of help to kind of maintain that early game weakness, but she seems to be doing all right now that she's got that little bit of extra pressure. The bot lane for the red team and the top lane looking to recall.
Gangplank falling behind a little bit in farm here, down about double to Ziggs.
But that's kind of what he wants. He's been kind of letting the minions die because otherwise they don't drop the coins if you get the kill on the minions. So that's how Gangplank works, is you let the first few early minions die, you let a lot of them die so you can get those coins to drop, because you still get 1 gold if you miss them, and then if the coins drop, that's 25 gold. So early on, it's better to, if you get enough coins, it's better to let the minions just die. And it also allows you to kind of sit back and absorb all that pressure that the Ziggs was able to put on in the early game. He was able to force him under the tower, but the Gangplank was kind of just letting him play into his trap. Meanwhile, we got a 2-man invade on the red buff.
Failed flash from Menards, and the Gangplank ult coming in as well.
First blood going to that Trundle support. Good follow. And it looks like the Caitlyn was moving up kind of to help out with that, but got almost caught a little bit in rotation. But now the Trundle's looking to flank them, and Gragas pretty low here. I don't know if he wants to go in on this.
Wisely does decide to back off. They get the first blood. Another important thing here, and we've been harping on it pretty much every game. Look at the vision control that Red is getting off of that. They got 3 wards deep into Blue's jungle. They've got the control wards set up across the map. They're using their kills to open up the vision to get more kills, and that's been a huge reason that they've been able to snowball so well.
The Ornn getting some decent trade damage back into the top lane. He was kind of losing the trade, then he lands a few good abilities and he's right back in it. Meanwhile, Gragas coming in for that gank in the bot lane, gets a knockup onto the Braum, forces the heal from the Jhin and the flash from the Braum, and the flash from the Jhin as well. And Pillar knocks Braum back, but you know, that's not worth an assist, I guess. You don't get credit for moving a corpse.
A little bit of griping there. Failed gank in the top lane. Diana tried to go top. Ornn ulted up against his own tower, but Camille sniffed it out and just used her legs to get out of there.
Hookshot's a wonderful thing, except when you're playing against it.
And Menard's getting the kill on Gangplank in the mid lane. Ziggs ult was on the way and just not needed. Menard's just blowing him up that quick.
So who would you give the edge to in this game so far?
You know, early on, I think Red Team has the advantage. Again, you're seeing the wards come out again, something that Blue's not matching. The plays in the side lanes from Diana that I thought I would see, not coming in as quickly. But good roams from Red, especially with Amaya-chan willing to go in. Oh, and we have a disconnect from the Red Team's mid laner.
That's a little interesting. Just after the first tower goes down.
And he's right back in it. Some technical difficulties here in the LC West, nothing that we haven't seen before. But Amaya-chan, good job rotating, following the Gragas after they'd spotted Diana working on the red buff to get that first blood. They've been playing better as a team than Blue Team has, and that's been the difference these past couple games.
Camille asking for some assistance in the top lane, probably wants some sort of help because this Ornn is just starting to actually put some disgusting damage down.
Ornn with a little bit of the BM. I don't know if you want to be doing that when you're only up that small amount of, or when you're down much CS,
down 500 gold.
Yes. Good ult from
Gank
Camille.
coming in. A nice ult from the Gragas to kind of cancel the ability for the Ornn to redirect his ram. Good flash from the Camille to get out of the Bella's breath, otherwise she was dead.
And that's why you don't BM unless you're sure you got something. You never know when a Gragas is lurking in the tri-bush.
And then the Ziggs roams up to try to clean something up, but the Camille is long gone. And meanwhile, we've got 3 members from the red team in the mid lane, but the bot lane is still pushing hard.
Ziggs ult incoming, does miss just about everyone. Comet takes a small chunk out of Big.
At least picks up that 3 CS. And that does allow for the bot lane to keep pushing and get this tower. Gragas stealing away the Gromp and just taking the Blast Cone out. Looking for something on the Ziggs, maybe. Ziggs walks down. Camille back at the tower, clearing up the minions. Might have been able to get something there. Kind of like the Gangplank just gets the kill in the mid lane, but the snipe from the Jhin secures the kill there. Ult
And
coming
almost,
out.
oh,
And the Caitlyn is just about dead, but a good heal saves her.
now Ziggs takes her
But
down.
the bomb, the blast radius is just big enough to drop her. Worth mentioning, she held on to Flash.
Oh, that's not what you like to see.
To be fair, I wouldn't have flashed there either. I would have thought I was fine. Trundle flashing though.
What did we say earlier in game 1 about kill unsecured? Sometimes you gotta flash just to make sure.
Meanwhile, the blue team kind of resetting. Got some more damage coming out in the top lane. Camille asking for some more help. Really wants to get a kill onto this Ornn. Try to cement a lead in this lane now that he's kind of getting some of those tank items, really allowing him to bully her. And now the Diana's up here as well, and they look like they want to take this tower. Gangplank waiting in the wings. Knows he's not. He's just got spotted out.
3 barrels, but doesn't hit anything with it.
Another. Jhin shows up. Nicely timed stopwatch to kind of stop the knockup, but it just doesn't matter. Nice ult by the Camille to hold Ornn in there just long enough, but the Diana's able to pick up the kill on the backside.
Not only just long enough, but just on the edge of the tower's range, managing to lock him down inside of it. At least getting something for what they lost up there. They lose the 2 kills, they lose the tower. It's nice to come away with something. Almost comes away with the double kill on the back.
They get a trade kill on the backside, but they lose the tower, but they end up picking up a dragon. They pick up the Cloud Drake, which is going to help if they want to make those cross-map plays. Throwing it over to chat. Lysimachus wants to know if we think Diana is better in the jungle or in mid.
As someone who knows Lysimachus, I know he wants me to say that Diana's better in the mid lane. I have to give the edge to the jungle, though. Her ganks are scary. And when she's in the jungle, she's got a little more roam potential. She's not as restricted to, you know, kind of having to babysit the mid lane. So I like her more as a jungler, where she's able to make plays moving all around the map. Her in the mid is still scary as well. What about you, Mr. Soda? Do you have a preference for Diana's lane placement?
She can do both pretty well. She's got some decent wave clear with her Q and just her innate attack speed builds with her passive. But she's also got really good clear speed. And she's got that shield that does reset when you pop all 3 of the bubbles. So she fits into both really well, kind of like a Kali does, because she's got that ult where she can just keep engaging as long as she keeps chaining the Qs. Personally, I'd say the jungle's a little bit better because she can do that. She can be a little bit more sneaky and impactful with ganks. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, we just watch a massacre.
Yeah, big fight starts there. You see Camille coming in. They shift all their damage onto the Braum, who then just heads out. I mean, it's interesting seeing all the damage go onto the tank. When the Jhin was there, you would have thought that they would have targeted the carries more, especially in a smaller skirmish that turned into a big team fight. And Jin's ult cleans up the remainder. Outstanding ult by Port Swimmer.
It's an ace, but it's not an ace for long, as the other 3 members just respawn just after the ace comes through, able to force them off of the inhibitor at the very least. Overall,
yeah, great play there. I'm surprised they didn't push it a little harder. Most of their players were at a very high health yet. Skirmish still continues here with Ornn poking at Gangplank a little bit.
Looks like the Ziggs is going to bring the wave up in the bot lane, maybe try to get the tower. Nobody's going down there to stop him, and he's got a ward just off to the side, so we'll see some people coming. He knows they're on their way now. He's probably going to clear the wave and just back out.
Should be noted too, Blue getting good vision, something that they've been lacking early on. They're now putting it deep into Red's jungle, and that's going to allow them to make some of those plays that they've been lacking.
And what's even more important about that is having really deep vision's nice and all, but if you're not on that side of the map, it's not helping you. So the real important part about vision is being able to see what's around you and making plays, or at least being able to play around your vision. So having a lot of wards all over the map is great and all, but if you're not actually using that information to your advantage, it's almost a waste of gold if you're throwing a bunch of control wards off in random places.
Definitely want to have good placement on your warding, absolutely. You see everyone kind of reset back into their normal lane spots here, with Gragas helping out Gangplank a little bit. It's interesting for me to see Blue hop back into kind of like a laning phase setup where they got everyone in their normal spots, considering that they've been winning the team fights so well, and they have that big 5k gold lead.
Yeah, and let's look at where that gold is distributed. Alright, so the top lane, the Camille's a little bit ahead there. Back again off of that early pressure the Gragas was able to buy for her. Ornn getting a kill in the river on the Gragas. Looks like they might have been trying to take Herald, but that's just 2 dead on red. Diana just up 2,000 gold over this Gragas, really taking this game under control. The mid lane's only about 200 gold gap, so pretty even, and 2,500 gold in favor of this 6-0 Jhin. He just does so much damage. He's got his Essence Reaver and his Rapid Fire Cannon, so he shoots from even farther away. He's just going to be doing so much damage for just the rest of the game, and it's only going to go up. A nice flash from the Gangplank gets him out, but Curtain Call comes through, and it's just lights out for the Gangplank.
And just as we talk about that 5,000 gold lead being mostly distributed down to Diana and Jhin, Gangplank gets a full taste of it. First having to deal with Diana flashing away, and then Jin's ult cleaning him up.
Meanwhile, the blue team picks up the Rift Herald just before it despawns and uses it to get a quick tower in the top lane. What are the odds they move back to set up for Baron?
With this much of a lead, with, you know, red team kind of on their heels here, I would expect to see the Baron play. Looks like they're just going to go for mid, maybe try to push that lane in and then run to it.
It looks like they're going to go down and just grab Dragon quick.
That's interesting, you know, I don't see red as being able to contest the Baron right now. But you take ejectors when they're free, and that's a free Drake for him.
That is the freest Drake I've seen this split, actually.
Red team pretty disorganized. The Ornn ult coming
that
through.
Was a beautiful alley-oop. Layered the Ornn knock-up with the Ziggs ult, dunking the Gragas, and Trundle
and with
kind of
Red's
gets
jungler down, I would expect a run to
caught with him. Camille's splitting in the top lane, and she might pick up this. She will pick up this tower. Diana's over at the blue buff. She's probably going to go and answer the Camille right afterwards. Camille cancels the recall, decides to go a little bit farther back.
Diana checking the bush while blue team sieges the mid lane tower. And we're going to get a fight up here in the top lane.
And that's a lot of damage put down onto that Diana. And she just goes down. The Camille, with just the Triforce and the Tiamat, able to get enough CC to take down that Diana.
The really nice thing about that duel for the red team is that it takes away blue's ability to go to the Baron. They pick up the tower in mid for it.
And the Camille TP's in on the back to try to maybe get something out of this, but kind of too far away from the team and has to back off.
Yeah, a wasted summoner spell there. It's too bad that they weren't able to force a fight, especially with her having picked up the early kill on the Fed Diana. That would have been a nice team fight for them to really snowball off of. Instead, they're forced to reset.
Jhin trying to chase down the the Gangplank. Decides not to go too far with the Gragas waiting just over the wall there. They don't have vision of the Gragas. Caitlyn's coming up.
And Jhin wisely walking out.
Sees the Caitlyn, backs off, knows he can't take that fight anymore.
And that 7-0-5 Jhin is scary right now. even 2v1 with the Caitlyn and the Gangplank there, I don't know that I'd be feeling too confident.
Yeah, and Jin's only gonna get stronger as this game keeps going on. He's sitting on close to 3,000 gold right now, so he's gonna back for basically a full item, and he's just gonna hurt so much more. This Caitlyn's got her Infinity Edge and almost one of the Energizer items. Meanwhile, Ornn dying to a two-man collapse in the top lane, but at the cost of an inhibitor.
Yeah, and Red making an interesting play. They're sending 2 to go after Ornn in the top lane, and then Trundle down below to pick up a turret, but it's going to cost them a lot here. They lose the inhibitor, and...
They pick up an outer tower and a kill for an inhibitor.
Yeah,
Overall,
not the kind of trades you want to see when you're behind.
Definitely not an ideal trade, but any sort of money is definitely helping you get back in the game. Any gold in your pocket is gold spent on items to put the enemy in the ground. Meanwhile, we got Ziggs
Trundle getting collapsed on.
And Braum now trying to run down this Trundle. A wise decision to flash the Braum Q, otherwise that probably would have been it.
Yeah, good call there by Amaya-chan, making sure he gets out of there. Don't want to get picked up here. Any
Red,
bad play can lead to a Baron loss, and with your inhibitor down, that might be the game.
Red trying to throw a counter push down the mid lane too while they had some time, but it is just so hard to push through these minions. These super minions. And
Caitlyn
down goes the Jhin
right
again from that. That Jhin just does so much damage.
Yeah, and losing their carry is going to be tough. Diana looking for a second run on the Camille here, and gets picked off again.
A few minutes later, still learns the lesson that that's just not a fight you want to take. Flash from the Camille to get out. Ornn tries to follow, but just isn't able to close the gap enough to finish off that kill. Braum dying in the backside. Trundle going over to try to stop something in the bot lane, but they get that tower and it looks like they're gonna get out. Ult coming in from the Caitlyn. Ornn dies in the top lane.
You know, interesting plays there all around. You're seeing Blue kind of Diana just feeling a little confident, starting the fight with Camille, learning the same lesson as you had mentioned. They use that to take a tower and kind of start a weird 3v4 fight that didn't work out in their favor. We're not seeing the cohesion that we saw early on from Blue Team in game 1.
Now we see the Diana trying to run down the Gangplank. Looks like he's gonna throw a barrel to slow her down, and he is definitely out of there. So right now, Blue's in a very commanding position. Only a 5k gold lead, but then again, a 5k gold lead's nothing to scoff at. What do you think Red has to do here to kind of come back into this game?
You know, I think what Red needs to do is something that they're doing right now. They're having Camille split push. She's shown that she can duel the 6 and 4 Diana, which I don't see anyone on Blue that can really counter Diana's split push, or Camille's split push at the moment. I would like to see them run, you know, more of a 4-1 with Camille taking a commanding presence somewhere and trying to, you know, force them to react to that. Instead, we're seeing these awkward skirmishes where
Curtain Call comes out and snipes the Gragas.
And he'll go down for that. Camille coming in, picks up a kill in the 6.
They're in a nice choke for the Jhin to just land the W and land the snare onto the Trundle, and they just walk all over the red team. And this should be game right here. They've got the minion wave. They pop a heal just to top them off. This is the end of the game.
Yeah, Trundle and Gragas coming up in about 10 seconds here, but they don't have the damage to stop this 4-man push. This should be a win for the Blue Team.
Gragas has his ult, so maybe a nice ult to knock someone into the fountain. Not quite. And then a very decisive game again from the Blue Team. Not as clean cut as the previous game, but still, once they got the lead, they just didn't let go.
Yeah, and blue side winning all games handedly the advantage. I don't know if that was just the lucky side today or what was going on. Just commanding victories time and again from the blue side, regardless of what team was playing over there.
I'm going to have to go ahead and say that blue side is OP. It needs to be nerfed. Riot, please fix your game. This just 10-0 Jhin. This just doesn't feel right.
Yeah, the handicap provided by the blue side, not something that we need in this game. You can't leave something like that arbitrarily up to, RNGesus here. But outstanding games from all of our players today. That will be the end of this series. We might look for some trades here, maybe get a final game. We will check back in just a few minutes.